Hey everybody, John Granato, Lance Zierlein from the bench. Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. If you have not hit subscribe, please do. Please do that right away. All right, let's talk J.J. Watt, Lance. $31 million. So $31 million. That means he's got a value in the league that the Texans miss out on a draft pick for him.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't think they were ever going to trade him. They wouldn't even think about trading him in the middle of the season. Now, granted, you didn't have a real general manager at that time. Once you got one, I would have thought they would have tried to, get something for him. I question what the value would have been unless you have multiple teams. Because once you have multiple teams, somebody could get desperate. And so that's one of the advantages. But he is an older player who hasn't had he is not coming off a tremendously productive season in terms of sacks. His contract, to trade him, you would have had to take on that contract, and you would have redone the contract, obviously. But JJ also could have retired and said, I'm not playing there. I only want to go places that I want to go and play. So in this instance, a 2-year contract basically tells you that JJ is a short-term guy. Like, I don't think he's going to play football a whole lot longer. Could you have gotten some value for him? I think you could have gotten a fourth rounder that might have turned into a third rounder, a fifth that turned into a fourth. Yeah, you could have gotten something for him.
Well, and you need something, though, and you need that. But here's the deal is you tell JJ, give me the teams that you want to go to, or have your agent negotiate. We'll keep it all quiet, but we just want a little something for it. That's all. I mean, why you wouldn't do that? And oh, by the way, if you traded him last year at the trade deadline, it would have only been to a contender, because ain't nobody that's out of the race that's going to, give you anything or want to give JJ that money, this year's money and the $17 million he was going to owe, that last year's money and the $17 that you would have had to pay him this year as well. It would have only been to a contender and somebody that could afford him. I mean, so not getting anything for JJ Watt is just another Texan screw up.
Well, I think
general manager wise.
I think this is a McNair call, to be honest with you. This is really a call about, this is a guy who raised a lot of money for the city. He's done everything we've asked him to do. He's been a great face of the franchise guy. We want to let him go. Because this doesn't feel like something Nick Caserio would do. Nick Caserio, although I did tell you that when I talked to one of the GM candidates for not the Texans job, but this is a GM candidate, he said you either trade or cut him. His thought was you could just cut him too, get rid of it earlier on and have money, and be able to get to it quicker. I think this is really the Texans, and they said this much. They wanted to do right by JJ because they felt like he had done right by the organization for a decade. And I don't know that was even Nick Caserio's call. I think that one might have been JJ and Cal coming to an agreement. Now, what surprised me is that I would have definitely taken a lot of the teams out of the equation if I'm the Texans. Like, there shouldn't be any talk about Colts, Titans, Chiefs. Like, a lot of the AFC teams, I would have said no way.
Well, and again, you could have still done this and done it the way JJ wanted to do it, but still gotten something out of it. You could have still done it all. And oh, by the way, did they not trade him at the last deadline because they thought maybe he would stay for his final year or want to be here for his final year? Did they miss on that? Were they unrealistic about that as well?
I don't think they wanted to move him. I think they think that it's bad for the fan base. I don't think they wanted to trade him. It never even came up that they considered trading him. You and I talked about it like a whole show.
You could have spun it, though, Lance, that we're doing what's best for JJ. We're not winning here right now. We want JJ to go get a title in Green Bay or go play with his brothers or go to Buffalo or whatever.
They don't have any sense in that building.
You could have spun that so easily.
And he wanted to be traded.
What is it any better for this fan base now that you just cut him and got nothing for him?
And he wanted to be traded.
No, it's actually worse.
He wanted to be traded. You can't. You got to stop applying logic on this stuff with Texans. You have to. They're going to do some things that don't make a lot of sense. And JJ wanted to be traded. He was open about it, and they still wouldn't even listen or consider it. I think that's the owner just saying, we just don't want to get rid of JJ. They're not trying to build I don't think Cal understands how to build a championship. And at some point, you got to get a little cold. Like this organization, I think Nick Caserio is going to bring some cold into this organization. I really do. I think the way he's handling Deshaun Watson shows you that.
All right, so Josh Reed from Buffalo, he's the sports director, WIVB. He had a story where he said somebody who was on the Texans staff called JJ a selfish player. And we've seen this before. He goes rogue. He doesn't play team defense. He's just trying to get the numbers. We got all that. We had a story here that we didn't go with not long ago that was similar to that story. We heard Romeo Crennel in the middle of the season saying, hey, we got guys on defense. Our leaders, he specifically said, a leader on defense is, not playing team defense and just going rogue. I thought it was JJ. It could have been Justin Reid. It could have been Zach Cunningham. It could have been Bradley Roby. I don't know who it was, but he said a leader on the defense, and you immediately point to JJ. Do you think that maybe that Josh Reed report is sour grapes, or is it somewhat accurate?
No, I think it's accurate. There was one thing in there that said we would have been better off without him than with him. That's ridiculous.
Not true.
That's obviously ridiculous. But I'd heard this for a long time, even when he was Defensive Player of the Year, that JJ would do some things that were freestyling up front, and he would get out of his run fits. I'm talking about the defense that included Antonio Smith. That's how far back we're going. So I was hearing that from inside that building, that JJ would freestyle, get out of run fits, do some things that were more individual than team oriented. That's not new to me. It's something that I think has been an issue for the coaching staff at different times, is JJ looking to make a play. The easy argument against that is, look how many plays JJ makes. It's easy to argue in favor of a playmaker trying to make a play, but the reality is he's not the same Defensive Player of the Year, and he does need to take care of his run fits, and he does need to play team defense. Everybody does. It dawns on me that could be coming from Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was the one who supposedly JJ was one of the guys who got into an issue. He got into it with Bill O'Brien, right? You heard that before. Brian Daboll was a guy from who was in Alabama with Nick Saban. Now he's in Buffalo as the offense coordinator. I don't know. Maybe they got that from Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is a former coach of the Houston Texans who probably had an issue with JJ doing some freestyling stuff. Maybe it came from him. I don't know where it came from. I think there is some truth to it, but I don't think it's going to overweigh what he brought to the table for the Texans.
No, that's stupid that he would have been better. There's no defense that would be better off without JJ. I don't care. There's just no defense. Not MVP JJ. Now, this JJ is kind of another story. If he's going to freestyle now with a total of 4 sacks on a season, then that's absolutely right. And they were the worst team against the run, and maybe because of the fact that guys were freestyling as opposed to playing team defense. Probably he cleans that up in Arizona. He doesn't have anything left to prove. He does want to look good to those Arizona fans, but he also wants to win. So we'll find out which JJ that they're going to get in Arizona.